Features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the glorious pre-sunrise in the African bush. We're in search of leopards this morning, and this is Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Morning, and welcome to glorious South Africa on this absolutely exquisite morning. There's not a cloud in the sky. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the talented Jean Regading on camera, and we're in search of Queen Karula, the dominant female leopard that resides here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. Yesterday, she went off hunting. She left her cubs in a little drainage line or little dry riverbed just to the east of us. We're just doing a big loop around, making sure she hasn't moved them, looking for tracks in the soft sand of the Mawati riverbed. Fingers crossed we get some luck. Now, she could have been successful hunting last night. She might have come back, fetched the cubs, and taken them back to a kill. So fingers crossed. And of course, you never know what other glorious creatures might pop out in the African bush. And being 100% live, we cannot plan what's going to happen next. But also, if you want to ask us any questions, you can do that by sending us an email to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. As I said, there's literally not a cloud in the sky. The sun is about to pop up over the eastern horizon, so we're looking forward to a bit of a scorcher today. I mean, we're starting off at about 22 degrees Celsius, which if I remember correctly is about 72, 73 Fahrenheit, and that's at 5 a.m. So it's definitely going to be very warm today. So sun hats on, sun cream at the ready while we travel through the African bush. Now, of course, I'm not the only one out here trying to show you the wonders of Africa. Let's go see what Jamie's plan for the morning is.
And a very good morning to you all, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have the wonderful Viam on camera with me, and we're heading out into the vast African wilderness to see what we can find for you on this bright and crisp morning here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. I said it's bright and crisp. It is a chilly for us, 22 degrees centigrade, which is 71 in Fahrenheit, which is exactly the same temperature as it is in Final Control, which is unusual because they just stay at, well, no, I suppose not unusual, but they just stay a nice constant temperature in their air-conditioned room. We, of course, bear the fluctuations of the temperatures out here. I'm joking, of course. It's actually a really lovely morning. It's a beautiful morning. And the mornings are always my favorite time to be out and about because there's so much excitement about what lies ahead. Sometimes, usually in the afternoon, we've got a rough idea. You know, we often know where some of the animals are. We sort of have a plan as to where we're going, but the mornings are based purely around exploration and seeing if we can figure out what's happened during the night. I can tell you, and we will at some point come back to have a look at them, I can tell you that at least 5 of the ewes on quarantine clearings, which is the big open areas outside our house, 5 Impala ewes have given birth, and there are 5 little babies tottering about quarantine clearings. And we'll head back in that direction at some point to go and have a look at them, being playful and cute. But for now, we're going to go and take the opportunity, since we are the first people out this morning, and every morning, we are going to go and take the opportunity to check the main boundaries, the main roads, before anybody else, I better check this junction properly, before anybody else has a chance to drive over them. Of course, the first thing we do when we hit this exact spot is to check to see whether or not Queen Karula decided to make an appearance. I know that Brent is looking for her, so I'm just checking to see if she's crossed here just to help him out. And then we're going to go off in search of other things, perhaps the lions. Ah, Joanne, very good morning to you and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Last night on the bushwalk, one of our viewers, James, asked whether or not there are any remedies for itchy skin out here, local remedies that involve the use of local plants. And I did an experiment on 3 very itchy tick bites on my legs to see which one of them worked, whether any of them worked. And Joanne, you wanted to know the outcome of that experiment. One is a little bit infected, and I can't quite tell if that's because of what I put on it, or if it was just going to get infected anyway. The other 2, the marula bark seems to have worked the best. I might have to keep conducting this experiment. I don't think one set of tests is really going to work out exceptionally well. Sorry, I found a feather. I want to grab it. I started collecting feathers for the tent when I realized that James's collection, when we had Big Birding Day, was a relatively sorry one. Okay. Now to play the guessing game. Hold on, hop back in and then I'll show you what it looks like. Let's pop that over there for a second. Pop my earpiece back on so that I can hear what you're saying. And let's have a look at what we've got. What are you? Mystery feather. Quite a short, stumpy feather. Tail feather maybe. It's got a long base, so a long attachment point, and therefore is quite an important feather. And then this mixture of white and dark brown. It's a very pretty feather. I'm going to guess and say Korhan. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's quite difficult to tell, but I'm going to keep that for James's collection in the tent. So, sorry, just back to the outcome now that I'm thinking about it, because now my legs are starting to itch. The marula bark seems to have worked the best. The grass didn't work at all, and that is still thoroughly itchy. And the Bushman's grape, which was the first one that I tried up near my knee, is the one that's slightly infected. Although I think it was going that way yesterday already, so it's hard to... It's certainly not itchy anymore. It's quite sore, but it's not itchy. So we have the outcome, and it seems as though marula trees, once again, in terms of usefulness, have come out tops. And the exciting thing I noticed while I was looking for marula tree bark to place upon my itchy bites is the fact that the marula trees are starting to fruit, which means we can soon look forward to the sweet, juicy taste of ripened marula fruit. I say soon, in the next month or so, I think, is probably when they're going to start to ripen. We'll have to go dashing out to collect them before the other animals get to them. This is one of my favorite times of year, being able to grab, you take the marula fruits and you put them in the fridge, and then you have an icy cold, refreshing fruit juice combination. And it seems as though it works as an antihistamine as well. Oh, I thought I saw a lion there, but it's a stump. Yesterday morning on our bushwalk, we were wandering on our way back home. And sometimes you're not expecting something. In bushwalk, we're usually expecting something like a buffalo or an elephant or a hippo as a surprise. I was not expecting to look up and see one male lion running away after a female in front of me. It was a serious surprise. And it took me a while to process from my eyes to my brain to my speech pattern to actually say, stop, there's a lion there. But it was interesting to watch the reactions of Mfumo and Amber Eyes to seeing us. We had a really nice open space in front of us, between us and them. And they were relatively relaxed with us. Amber Eyes was a bit more skittish than he was, which makes sense because she wasn't with the rest of the pride. And let's see if we can't track those two down this morning. Joanne and James, you wanted to know whether or not on the bushwalk, to finish off or to wrap up yesterday's walk, whether we ever found out what those eggshells were. We didn't. I did try, and I did speak to Steph, and he's not sure either. So what we're going to do is I have taken a photograph of them. We're going to send that on to somebody who has an incredible specialist knowledge into all sorts of small things out here. A gentleman by the name of Lee Guttridge, and he has a vast knowledge and experience, especially when it comes to, he's basically a textbook on these sorts of random little things in the bush, stuff that you'd really struggle to know unless somebody told you, or really struggle to find out unless somebody told you. So we don't know the answer to the eggs yet, but it is on its way to being hopefully answered, unless Lee doesn't know, which seems unlikely, but hopefully answered by someone in the know. Lots of hyena tracks here. Oh, I thought for a second I'd come upon some very odd leopard scat. I thought that was leopard scat that had somehow been rolled around in the dirt, and it's not. It's an ant's nest. That was a very odd moment. Or termites, sorry, it's termites. But I thought it was a very, very strange thing that I was seeing. Apparently a bit too early for the brain to actually have kicked into gear. The other leopard that I'm hoping to find on this boundary is Shadow. Well, we haven't seen her in quite a long time. Shadow is a female leopard. She's the daughter of Karula, the leopard that Brent is looking for, and we haven't seen her in ages. Last time I heard, she was on Simbambili, which is a property that's just outside of our Traverse area, but I'm hoping she might have decided to come back and join us once again. So we'll be keeping an eye out for her tracks as well. Now back onto our mystery feather for the day. Bree, good morning to you. Welcome to the Sunrise Safari. You want to know whether or not a bird missing an important feather such as this might perhaps be flying a little bit wonky. Generally not, Bree. They can. You are right, of course, in that just the slightest malalignment of their feathers or a missing patch of feathers can potentially seriously disrupt a bird's flight. But just one missing feather is par for the course. It's relatively normal. It's like us losing one hair off the top of our head, or a little bit of hair off the top of our head. Birds are constantly growing and replacing their feathers, and you might even find that feather fell out naturally as one was growing underneath it. So one missing feather, not a disaster. A clump of missing feathers, then yes, you're going to get one very wonky bird. And we usually find it with the migrants that have come in after long journeys, the steppe eagles, not so much the smaller birds, but especially the larger raptor species. They sometimes come in looking a little bit bedraggled, as though they've been dragged through or had a blow dryer blown on them with their feathers facing the wrong way. So that we do see. A little bit worse for the were caught up in those vicious storms over Central Africa and somehow making it through to here. We also see vultures with lots of clumps of feathers missing as well. But one missing feather is not a disaster. Looking to see if I can't find you a nice bird, since we're talking about birds. And whilst I can hear lots of them calling, they're all playing relatively hard to get. I can smell something. Rotting, but that's not uncommon at the moment. There are so many dead animals around, unfortunately, lots and lots of dead buffalo that just haven't made it through the dry season, and I think that the rains just didn't come quick enough for them, and they haven't made it through. And so it's not uncommon at the moment to drive through pockets of very, very smelly areas. The reason I'm driving so slowly is because there's tracks of a hyena, there's tracks of two hyena on this road. And we hardly ever get to see our spotted hyena anymore. And it would be really nice to see one. I'm going to go and check up on that hippo that was at Sydney's Dam. I doubt that there's much left of it, but we'll go and see whether or not there's any sign of the hyenas still there, perhaps hanging around in the hope of a little bit more of a meal. These hyena tracks have come all the way down and then, from what I could see earlier, gone all the way back to the north again. I just want to make sure that I don't miss a leopard track in between them. All of the animals seem to be in hiding this morning. I wanted to show you some brand new Impala. I also really want to get an Impala birth on these live safaris, and this is the perfect time for them. This is what I'm hoping for. Or perhaps a chance to see the first baby warthogs. For our new viewers, at this time of year we do become slightly baby animal obsessed. It's not baby animal obsessed, it's just because this is the peak breeding time for many of our different animal species. And it's a rare opportunity to watch them from the very start of their lives. Last year, with the Impala lambs, I asked everyone to take a screenshot every time we saw an Impala lamb, just to do some kind of a size comparison and just how rapidly they grow. Because that's half of the fun of these live safaris. It's not as though you're here for 2 or 3 days as a guest. You've actually got insight into what's happening. Not that being a guest here is a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but you've actually got a chance to watch each day unfold, and the normal cycles of the bush play out day after day, week after week, and month after month, and year after year for some of you. The male lion tracks. This must be where they came in yesterday. Here's a baby. Here's a little... Let's just get this lamb because he's going to run away, and then we'll go back to the lion tracks. What did you see, little ones? What's there? Oh, you're so clever. Already know how to run with Mom. Wonder what they'd seen over there. She was glancing off anxiously in that direction. And VM's just picked up male lion tracks crossing the road. Right here. Which way are they coming? Back in or in there? I wonder if this is... Hold on. Sorry, I need to see them myself. Just to make a... Oh, goodness, bouncy, bouncy. Aha. Well, this is... They're in such an inconvenient spot. Let me show them to you at least, and I'll try and check through my monitor. My suspicion is... where are they? It's tough light. Oh, there they are. It's very difficult light for lion tracks. Oh, I see what made the Impala so anxious. Sorry. Those two males having a serious fight in there. As I said that, of course, they stopped. But they were having a serious tangle of horns. That's what had the females so anxious. Uh-oh. Oh, no. There we go. They managed to get themselves out. It's unusual for Impala to get stuck, but it does happen. Let's just go. I don't think these lion tracks are fresh. I think they're from yesterday. I think they're actually from 2 days ago. But let's just go and go see if we can watch these Impala rams fighting, if they keep it up. Because it's a nice open area on that side. and we'll just check and see whether or not there's any sign of that lion crossing into Arathusa. Because as I said at the start of the sunrise safari, I haven't seen any sign of, or I didn't hear any sign of lions last night. They weren't calling. They were very quiet. Oh, this is a very bumpy patch. There's a good chance they're on Arathusa, and that male might have gone to catch up with them. No sign of tracks crossing west. And good morning to Bree while we race across, talking about tracks, while we race across to see if these Impala are still at it. Bree, you want to know if I'm excited about the return of the hyenas and whether there's a reason that the Impalas have come to us. Have they? Yes. That thus ends the Impala fight in a flash of tan. Sorry, Bree. He wants to know whether I'm excited about the return of the hyenas and if there's a reason they're being seen more frequently. I'm always excited for the potential return of the hyenas, and I think there is a chance that because the Nkuhumas are starting, the cubs are big enough now that they're starting to move further afield. I think there is a chance that we might see the hyenas more frequently. I don't know though, because the hyenas have always been coming onto Djuma the whole time that they've been away. All through the night they've been coming onto Djuma, their tracks have always been around. It's just that they haven't had a reason to come back onto Djuma itself, and so we haven't really seen them. Now, I'm a little bit nervous to get too excited just yet, because the Manyaleti has got exactly as the same as we do. I spoke earlier about the fact that there are dead buffalo all over the place. The Manyaleti is exactly the same, and I think that there's little incentive for them to start moving down a little bit further to the south. I think we've been lucky with hyena recently, and that could be a good sign. Could be that they are coming back to us. I would love for that to be the case. Nothing would make me happier than to be able to spend hours again at the den site. Our Cindy, I know the feeling. Cindy says that she's in serious hyena withdrawal, and isn't there some kind of dance similar to a rain dance that might help to bring them back? I'll have to try and think about it, Cindy, as to what a hyena call dance would be. What would bring hyenas back? I'm not sure if there is a rain dance equivalent for hyenas. In general, sort of historically, they're not an animal that people have attempted or have wanted to bring back into their lives. Alright, I'm sure you're all wondering what Brent has been up to and where he's been. I hear he's been on a walk. Let's go and find out how it's been.
Morning again. Yes, I did go take a little trundle through the drainage line where Krula last left the cubs. Unfortunately, it looks like they've moved. So what we're doing is we're extending our search radius. I just want to go check the southern boundary very carefully first. Make sure that we're not looking for leopards that aren't even here. So we're going to go have a look there quickly. And if no tracks crossing south, then we'll head further to the north, check Mamba, Nyala Road south. That's the direction Krula was hunting in yesterday, so fingers crossed she has made a kill deeper inside Djuma and hasn't decided to vacate the premises. But it is an absolutely gorgeous morning, and so pretty, and I do love these early mornings, but when there's not a cloud like this and we're getting into the summer months, we know what's coming. I think it's probably going to get quite close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit today, so 35, 36 degrees Celsius. Now, this hot weather without rain might bring some elephants back towards the waterholes, so we'll be keeping a check out for everything. Okay, so we've checked the Moati. There's no sign of Krula crossing the Moati, which means if she's crossed into the south, it's going to be in this little section between here and the river. So we're going to go on a go slow. Of course, that means that we're not going slowly. We just... Oh, there's some Nyala. Morning, ladies. It's always good to switch off and listen. We might hear some alarm calls. You can see, always on alert, how those ears rotate, listen constantly, looking for danger. And you can see the tails are working overboard already. After a bit of rain, a bit of heat, there's been an explosion of biting flies. Now it's been last night was very quiet, very few animal noises through the night. Didn't hear any elephants, didn't hear any lions, didn't hear any alarm calls. Did hear a lovely little scops owl though. Burp. Now, as I said, didn't hear any elephants. Lance. Morning, Lance. Lance is wondering what happened to all the elephants. Well, Lance, what's happened is it's rained. So they're not stuck on permanent sections of water. So during the summer months, the elephants will generally spread out over a vast area once it's rained. And during the winter months, they tend to congregate. And during the summer months, they'll often feed in areas that are quite far from permanent water, sort of on the basalt soils and grasslands of the southern Manuleti into Kruger. And obviously with the rain, a lot of those mud wallows are filled up, so there's plenty of water to drink. Now, they almost totally ignore those areas during the winter months and the dry season months. So that's nature's way of creating a balance, that the elephants are not always permanently in the same place feeding. So while the rains are here, a lot of these crests around here, this Marula woodland, and gets a chance to recover while they feed elsewhere. That's not to say they're not going to be any elephants. They will move through, but they're not going to be as permanently based as they have been through the dry season. We're just going nice and slowly. For those of you who knew, if you see me hanging out of the car like this, it means I'm looking for tracks. And hopefully, we're hoping not to find Karula's tracks. That's whenever we're on the southern boundary and Karula's been inside Djuma, it's the one time we don't want to find tracks. So far so good, and not too much longer to go. Oh, there we go. Hadeda Ibis probing the ground for any delectable little morsels. You can see how deep his beak goes into the soil. Specially designed. Oh, what's he got? Oh, he's got a baboon spider, a big baboon spider. Oh, it's gone. Wow, there you go, first kill of the morning. Now see that hider obviously found a nice big baboon spider's hole, and that baboon spider obviously didn't make it deep enough. And the hider managed to get that lovely long recurved beak down the hole, and unfortunately for the baboon spider, that was all she wrote. See, not only do they probe deep into the soil, you see how it flicks the leaf litter away, looking for centipedes, any other bug that might be hiding in that leaf litter. Now, Amber's wondering, are feathers waterproof? Well, some feathers, Amber. Hadeda, probably not. I mean, they have a degree of waterproofing, sort of waxy outer layer, but obviously your birds like ducks and cormorants and darters have got far more waterproofing than your average bird who doesn't go diving in the water. Okay, let's keep going. Poor baboon spider. Good morning, Tax. One station trying to follow up on Kurula and Mampimpan. There's no sign where we left them yesterday. I'm just checking southern boundary from Cheetah cut line to the Mawati. I think Jamie's checking around where till I access that area. Okay, so that's Taxon. He's going on game drive from Djuma. And of course we're in contact with all the other game drives over a radio, and that enables us to help each other find the animals and bring you guys the best sightings possible. Okay, this is looking good. So far, no tracks. It's unlikely that I'm going to miss tracks here. It's nice, quite nice and soft. Now, Michael's wondering, what is the best way to determine how old tracks are? Well, it all depends, Michael, on the substrate or soil that you're tracking on, whether it's been windy, whether it's not been windy. But if we're looking for very fresh tracks on a morning like today, we're going to be looking for slightly darker coloration in the tracks, which means that they've been made quite fresh. The sun hasn't dried the outer layer. I'll try to find some examples. It's just a little bit hard here. I'll wait till we get down to the next soft section. Apparently something ran in front of the vehicle while I was looking for tracks. There we go, Jean-Andre saw it. It was a Steenbok. Not a leopard. Okay. So the area we've got to check the most carefully, because the ground is the hardest, is this little section here. So we're going to go very, very slowly, make sure we don't miss those tracks. Now, we have seen Kurula cross in this area before. But so far, so good. Now, the other thing is, if she is moving with the cubs, it does make her that little bit easier to find. Oh, there we go. There's a track we can show Michael about aging. You got them, Jean-Andre? Okay. So, there's a car coming. We have to do this quickly. So these are lion tracks, but I can see that the edges are very white. There's none of that dark coloration I'm talking about. So if I had to sort of put my finger through there, and you can see the edges are hard. So this was actually made the morning after the rain. It's actually the tracks of the stickless lionesses. And so when I'm saying you're looking for dark track, it's just that the ground's a bit hard here. So you see there, I mean, you can see the edges are very defined, where those edges are not. Oh, sorry, we need to move. I'm causing a traffic jam. I've parked across the whole road. But Michael, it's probably not the best on this on a main road like this. Oh, sitting on my radio. Well, those are 2-3 days old now, and they're obviously far more indented than they normally would be because of the rain. Okay, well, I'm going to keep hanging my head off the vehicle in search of leopard tracks, and while I do that, let's go see how Jamie's morning is faring.
Well, Brent to go and sign of Karula, the Queen of Djuma, we've come to one of the most beautiful spots on Arathusa to see whether or not we can't see any sign of Tingana. Of course, looking for fresh tracks from him, not the older tracks that we've seen going backwards and forwards to the water. He was here for a few days with his Impala kill, and I'm hoping that, hold on, I think that, let's just have a look at the top of that jackalberry tree. I'm going to guess and say he was in there, or his kill was in the top of that jackalberry tree, because in there, hopping around, I can see birds of prey. Go a little bit to the left, there. Oh, I don't see birds of prey. I see a woolly-necked stork. No, they nest there. Ah, cool. That's an exciting thing to find, a nesting pair of woolly-necked storks. I wonder if they've got chicks up there. That's fascinating. I don't think I've ever seen a woolly-necked stork nest before. One of the smaller of the stork species, you can see the bright edge of the bill. He seems to be plucking, I wonder if he's plucking jackalberry. No, he's putting branches off the tree. What are you doing? Perhaps pulling off covering for its nest site. I'm just going to watch it for a little bit longer and then see what it does, and then I'll try and get a bit closer and we can check and see what this bird is up to. We've seen birds of prey or raptors while they are trying to build their nests, actively breaking off the branches, and I think that's what the stork is doing, unless it's trying to get jackalberry fruit. But I haven't seen many remaining jackalberry fruits. I thought that we were sort of past that season. It's fascinating. I wonder if it's the male or the female. Often with most of the storks, they will, I know it seems to be eating whatever it's getting, so maybe it is the fruit that it's after. So they've also just returned to our shores, the woolly-necked stork. Let me just show you a picture quickly before we move a little bit closer. So this is the stork that we're looking at, the adult with its bright red bill and its eye. Let's go and investigate and have a look and see whether we can work out what this bird is up to. And check, of course, and see if there's Tingana in the area. I thought at first that his kill had been in that jackalberry and that he had abandoned it and the birds of prey had come to finish it off, something like a Bateleur or a tawny eagle. They're both flying off. There they go. Very distinctive white rump. And they've landed there. And that's the wonderful thing about this time of year, is there's all sorts of bird nests and unusual things to find. This is my favorite jackalberry, one of my favorite jackalberries on this property. So where's the nest, Viam? Did you say they were nesting, or is it
that maybe because they were sitting with
in the hollow maybe?
I think they're not a bird's nest, but yes, it's there.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see that messy thing. And I can't. You got it. Well done, Viam. The beginnings, perhaps, of the stork nests. Much like raptors, they build these ridiculously flimsy-looking platforms that actually aren't all that flimsy, but they look as though they're about to fall apart with the slightest breath of wind. And my first thought while we were watching it pluck away at the leaves was perhaps it was looking for softer nesting material. Is that a... No, it's not. I thought I saw a flash of white that might have been a chick. And these jackalberries are such perfect homes for so many of our different birds. Raptor species, hammerkorps, vultures, hooded vulture like to nest in jackalberries. And this is a particularly beautiful old specimen. I wonder how many years this tree has seen come and go. Hundreds and hundreds of years, I would imagine. I'm no expert at aging jackalberries, but it's a massive one. There's our there was our stork. And off into the thickets.
There we go. So almost in the same position where we saw the baboons towards the end of yesterday's sunset safari. They obviously roosted in the Mawati River here, and now they're waking up, and then we can see a bit of social grooming happening between two females. Now, the joy of social grooming in baboons is not only do you get to remove ticks and fleas from the other members of your troop, you also get to eat them. So it's breakfast and a manicure. Now, on yesterday's sunset safari, we spoke quite a lot about the social structure of baboons and how absolutely interesting it is. So, the male baboons will disperse and try take over. Oh, there we go, baboon shouting behind us. Woo! We are surrounded by baboons at the moment. Now, depending on the size of the troop, it's run by 5 to 10 male baboons. It's a very patriarchal dominated society, and the males are incredibly aggressive when it comes to keeping order in the troop. Now, females, their social standing is inherited from their mother. Normally, in abnormal cases, they can improve or go down the social hierarchical ladder, but normally they're pretty much stuck in one spot from birth. Now, you definitely don't want to be a low-ranking female in a baboon group. Now, as I said, the males, the hierarchy changes often. There's a lot of fighting and battling for those top spots. And females will actually come and openly groom and almost suck up to males just to try get preferential treatment. So even if you're low ranking in the female hierarchy, if you manage to become one of the big male's favorites, it does allow you some protection from the other baboons. Now, the most common cause of death in baboons is infanticide. So it's actually big male baboons during a fight killing a female's baby. Quite often it could be from a non-preferred female, and it is really fascinating to watch baboons. They're always up to something. And you can see this is sort of ideal baboon territory, right in the riverine forest on the edge of a riverbed. Nice big trees, lots of fruiting trees. Oh, Jean in front of us is going to cross the road shortly. Looks like one of the big males. He's going to pop out over there. Strolling ahead, let's have a look. No, there's a female, and you can see that bulbous bottom of hers. And there comes the male escorting her, because she's about to be and is in estrus. So female baboons, their bottoms become very red, large and engorged when it is time for mating, and there can be massive battles between the dominant dog baboons for mating rights. Now, if a male baboon hurts itself even just slightly, let's try and get a bit closer to those two, and falls and shows any sign of weakness, any male that's slightly lower will actually gang up and attack that male, and they can be very, very vicious. As I said, their canines are longer than lions. Now, Bill is wondering, are baboons prey for leopards? Yes and no. Generally, a lot of leopards will try to stay very far away from baboons, especially female leopards, the smaller ones. Male leopards will probably go for baboons. We've seen Kunyuma on a baboon carcass on live drive. Let's have a look. Where did those two lovers go? You want me to stop? Back? Okay, a bit more forward, I think. You can see. maybe she's not quite ready yet, or maybe she's just flirting. So male leopards in some cases will actively hunt baboons. Generally, where you find leopards hunting baboons a lot, it's where their natural sort of small to medium sized antelope have been removed. So in areas of high human habitation, they will adapt to hunt baboons. Now, my dad, I'm quite jealous about this, saw an incredible sighting in the Chobe, or no, it wasn't Chobe, it was Linyanti region of Botswana. A small female leopard had developed a very interesting tactic in hunting baboons. She would rush into a big troop, kill a baby or a young one, and then just lie flat. And the big males would try to grab her, try to bite her, but she used to lie so flat to the ground they couldn't, and after 10 minutes they'd give up, and she would stand up with very superficial injuries and walk away with a baby baboon for breakfast. Alright, let's carry on. Now there's a bird I've been really wanting to show everyone that I've seen a couple of times in this little section when we've been off air, and it's in full breeding colours, which makes it quite spectacular. It's a male paradise flycatcher, and I'm just trying to see if I can hear him this morning. No such luck. Okay, and obviously we're looking for Karula and the cubs. They will hear those baboons, and especially with cubs, a female leopard is going to avoid those baboons at all cost. So hopefully the fact that they're here has pushed her further to the north. Here we go for the birders this morning. As of course you know, I am an avid birder. Oh, Genre not so much, but there we go. A nice little LBJ to start the morning. Now, oh, pretty little LBJ. What you're looking for in identifying these little guys is a look around the eye. You're looking for circles or eye stripes. They're quite grey and quite indescript, but very, very obvious perch out in the open. Oh, and flicks around quite quickly. Look at the streaky breast. We do know this one. We have seen this one quite a few times on the live drives. So I think it's time to test your bird knowledge. It's nice and out in the sun on that little branch to the right. To left. There we go. There he is, perching out in the sun. Now, they always perch out in the open, and it's to do with their feeding strategy. So I'm going to ask you guys, which bird is this? If you know which bird, look, there we go. From his perch, got something to eat, came back. If you know which bird this is, please let me know by using the hashtag SafariLive or the email address questions@wildearth.tv. Is he going to come back to the same perch? Not this time. So there we go. If you know what little LBJ, and if you don't know what an LBJ is, it's a little brown job that bird species in. Now remember I said look around the eyes, also look at the markings on the forehead and on the chest. And if you know, hashtag SafariLive questions@wildearth.tv. What was that little grey bird? I've given you lots of clues. He sits out in the open, hunts from a perch, generally quite a conspicuous percher. The whole family is generally. Oh, good morning, Raccoon. Nice to have you on drive. Raccoon would like to know, is the winter farmer the brave man who marches through the bush back? Indeed he is, so let's go say good morning.
Back. Good morning, and yes, I am back. Thank you very much, Brent. It's nice to be out on bushwalk again, to be quite honest with you. You know, walking across quarantine is always such a nice feeling. This is quarantine here. It's this open area that we've got close to our camp, and because it's open, it sort of allows you to gradually get yourself into the bushwalk rather than just straight into danger in the thick stuff. My name is Stef Winterboer. On camera today we've got Gert, and you might be asking yourself, what are we doing walking around on foot? Well, the answer is quite simple. It just adds a very different aspect to how we uncover the bush for you and how we talk to you about all its wonderful characters. But our focus is on the smaller things and on the lesser known things, I should say, of the bush. I must say, watching this morning's safari from the comfort of Final Control, I'm quite excited about that woolly-necked stork's nest that you were looking at or uncovered with Jamie. Isn't that exciting? I mean, I don't really know much about woolly-necked storks, how long the babies take to fledge, what mom will bring them to eat. It's going to be really exciting watching that over the next couple of days, I must be honest. Now, what are we going to be doing today? I don't really know, to be quite honest with you. My feeling tells me that I want to go and have a look at Treehouse. Treehouse is a dam or a pan that we have built into a drainage line. It's a man-made dam, but it was put there because there are two natural seeps that seep into Treehouse. And I'm dying to know what the last few weeks of rainfall has done to these two seeps, or these two springs, for lack of a better word. And what we're going to be doing is going there and digging, if there's no water, digging into them and seeing how far into the sand this water is. The last time I was out there, the water was deeper than my arm into the sand, and it was almost impossible to get to. Now I'm hoping that it is slightly higher. For interest's sake, all it's going to be doing is letting me know how high the water table has risen with the little bit of rain that we've had over the last couple of weeks. I am happy to say that over the weekend while I was away, I went camping on the banks of the Olifants River, or the Elephant River, and I must be honest with you, the river was murky and it was raging, not flooded, it was still confined to its bank, but it was just so nice to see runoff again, and everywhere in this area, literally for 100 miles in every direction that we've got water coming out of the ground again, and pans that are full, and grasses that are starting to come to the fore. This is a little sesame seed or sesame plant. The flowers coming out here now. Not quite open just yet, but they will start to open in a few weeks. This particular plant produces a juice that the local guys mix in as a tonic and drink. To me, I've always smelled them, what they do is they smell like peanut butter. I know it sounds pretty weird, but every time I crush it and I smell it, I can't help but thinking of a peanut butter sandwich. It's quite potent. Alright, let's carry on over here. Oh, look at that beautiful Nyala there. There we go. Nice. Just gonna find him.
Other bush.
As Gert just said, it's in the other bush. I'll tell you, it's much more difficult getting a picture to you from foot, as you may have imagined, or as you've seen over the last couple of years. That is a fantastic bull Nyala. He's walking into the shadows. He's following a herd of Nyala ewes. And this isn't really the time that they mate. They mate in summer when the leaf cover has thickened somewhat. They go into their rut, as we say, sort of between January and about March. I don't know exactly the dates, but it's somewhere in that time period when the leaf cover is nice and thick. And the female ewes, or the mommy ewes, are at their healthiest, to be honest with you. Now, Fuzzman Sparkles, you've just asked me what other antelope we can find at Djuma. The common antelope that we find around here, Fuzzman Sparkles, are starting at the smallest, the steenbuck. Then we've got the common or grey duiker. From there we have got Impala, and then we've got Nyala, and then we've got the greater kudu. From time to time, we've also got waterbuck that are fairly common, and then from time to time we have sable, very, very infrequently. There has been records of eland here, although not for many, many years, and I'm talking about 15 or 20 years. There hasn't been a record of eland, but it's not uncommon to find them in this area. And then of course, one of the largest of all of them is the giraffe, or the largest of all of them is the giraffe. So there's a collection of the antelope that we find here, Fuzzman Sparkles. Interesting name you have there for yourself. Let's see what is on this plant. It never ceases to amaze me that when you just stop and you have a look at some plants that look basically like they are uninhabited because they are alone in this island of sea and grass over here, what you find can sometimes surprise you, although in this particular case I don't see much. My understanding is lacking. It's not because there's anything here to look at, it's because my understanding is lacking. But what it will do is it'll give me a nice chance to explain a compound leaf to you. So let me pick this one and this one, because they're around about the same size. So this is a simple leaf that grows from a bud, and you can see the bud at the base of the leaf there. It's called an auxiliary bud, and anything after the auxiliary bud is the leaf. This we call a simple leaf because it is undivided. This, on the other hand, is a compound leaf, because from the auxiliary bud, which was there before I picked it off, you have got a leaf that is divided. Now if I open it up and I spread it out, you'll see that it covers roughly the same surface area as the simple leaf does, except that there are many more leaflets. And that is a big advantage to trees when they are looking at capturing sunlight. So all that a leaf is, well, it's not all that a leaf is, but one of its primary functions is to catch sunlight and to have all of these little leaflets filling every single gap. You can see that there are gaps through there. Having all these little leaflets filling every single gap makes certain that this tree doesn't lose a single photon of sunlight. And quite often underneath these types of trees with compound leaves, you find the best shade because of it. Anyway, we're not going to find shade just yet. It hasn't gotten that hot just yet. But what we are going to do is send you over to Jamie to see what she's up to.
As the morning starts to heat up, I've left the area that we went to check to see whether or not Tingana was around. He has moved off. I'm not sure where he's gone, but he has moved off a little bit. And unfortunately, as you may have noticed, our signal was a little bit shaky, so we're returning back onto Djuma. However, I'm in the process of trying to chase down a very special bird that I can hear calling, and that is the call of the ground hornbill. And we've been so fortunate recently. We've had so many lovely ground hornbill sightings, and I thought it might be nice to just add one more to the list. I can hear them calling. Let me just go and check there's not behind me. Okay, I'll stop the car because their calls are quite soft. They're actually on Djuma. Just taking my earpiece out for 1 second. Might even be towards the open area on Impala Road. Let's go and see if we can't find them. It's that gentle doo-doo-doot, doo-doo-doot, doo-doo-doot. And the females is slightly higher pitched than the males, so you can hear the difference between them. And it seems, just from watching them recently over the last few days and weeks, that the female initiates the call and the male responds. So she goes doo-doo-doot, and then he goes doo-doo-doot, doo-doo-doot, doo-doo-doot. Obviously, sounding much better because they can do their call properly. They have resonating chambers and such things. But that's the joys of sitting with these animals for a little bit longer than you might otherwise, is that you learn all sorts of interesting things, like the fact that it seems as though the female initiates the whole contact calling process. I'm really hoping that we have a chance to find a ground hornbill nest on Djuma. That's my dream when it comes to ground hornbills, that we have a chance to actually see them go about their business of raising a chick. Even if we can't see into the nest because we don't want to disturb them, it would be a wonderful experience. Follow them up every morning, kind of like going to a hyena den. First thing in the morning you go to the ground hornbill nest and you watch them as they wake up. That would be special. Truly special. And of course the same applies for all of our birds, but it's particularly enjoyable for the ground hornbill because they are so endangered. But that woolly-necked stork nest was also a very special surprise. There's not that many woolly-necked storks knocking about here. It's nice to see a nesting pair. It was interesting to watch their behavior. I'd love to learn a little bit more about their breeding, their whole breeding process. Okay, let's speed up a little bit. Because I think the calls are closer that way. Good morning to Michael, and I know that Steph was mentioning that he wasn't so sure about the woolly-necked breeding process. Michael, you wanted to know how many eggs they will lay. I'm also not 100% sure. My guess would be 2. Just in terms of normal stork breeding patterns, my guess would be 2, and usually with only one of the chicks surviving. And you'll find that with a lot of the big birds, that they lay 2 eggs, same as the ground hornbill. They'll lay 2 eggs. The first one will hatch, and then the second one will hatch a couple of days later. And those few days make all of the difference in the world. It makes a crucial difference. And what it means is that the second chick just isn't quite strong enough and doesn't manage to survive. Hello. And welcome back. Where have you lot been hiding? Sorry, I'm just listening for the call of the ground hornbill at the same time. I think we've just got a first here, or at least the first of this season. Just want to check I'm not going crazy. Not a purple roller, no, it's a European. It is a European roller. Oh, there we go. We've been trying. I saw them here ages ago, and we just didn't manage to get them on camera, and we've been struggling ever since. Oh no, hold on. No. Oh, I got overexcited too soon. It is a purple roller, not a European roller. Drat. Not that the purple roller is not wonderful. I just had a look at that white eye stripe again, or the brow stripe, and went, ooh, no, European rollers are much bluer than that. Oh, so when are the European rollers going to return to us? The purple roller is beautiful, but it's a resident, so they stay with us all year round, whereas the European rollers, as their name suggests, go all the way back to Europe, and we haven't got one on camera yet. I saw 3 of them not far from here, and I know I did, and just didn't manage to get them on camera, and we've been struggling ever since to have a chance to actually... Nobody believes me, which is most tragic, but I know that I saw them. And of course, while we've been looking at that roller, our ground hornbill have gone quiet again. They might even have flown off a little bit. Let's just check this open area. Oh yes, sorry, Michael, we were talking about storks and how many eggs they lay, and I would guess and say that we're looking at about 2. Would be my suggestion, just in terms of your average stork breeding process. It's probably about 2. Oopsie, watch the road. I'm going to stop again just on the edge of this road, and then we can answer Aaron's question about the northern ground hornbill. Let's just stop for a second and listen. Aaron, you want to know if the northern ground hornbill is as endangered as the southern ground hornbill. And of course, I just spoke earlier about the fact that that's why we're so excited to see the big hornbills. It's because we don't get that. There aren't that many of... Oh, sorry, Steez. There aren't that many of them around. And I'm going to double check that. I think that they are, but I'm just going to check and see whether or not the book specifies if they are just as endangered as the others. 286. There's not a huge amount of difference between the northern and the southern ground hornbill. Well, actually, no, there is. I mean, there's a bit more blue. So that's our northern ground hornbill, and also known as the Abyssinian ground hornbill. This is the bird here that we're looking for, that we get here. Now, my guess, Aaron, just looking at their distribution and where they live, it's definitely not the best place in Africa to be. So we've got the southern ground hornbill. Let's have a look here. This is where the northern ground hornbill appears. And that's not exactly, in terms of stable African countries, look, it misses the worst in the band in the middle, in terms of the Congo and so on. But you're looking right up into Chad, Sudan, and anywhere where you've got unstable political situations, there's a very good chance that your animals are going to be endangered. Yeah. Status: thinly and patchily distributed. So not quite scarce, as it describes the southern ground hornbill, but thinly, and I would say there's a very good chance they are, if not as endangered, definitely under threat as well, especially up in those northern parts of Africa. And it looks like their range even extends towards Somalia. I think the chances of there being surviving members in Somalia, perhaps I'm being very ignorant, but I don't think so. I think the chances of there being ground hornbill in Somalia would be next to nothing. Anywhere where you've got serious political conflict, you find that the wildlife there suffers. And James, again, a question about the northern ground hornbill and the similarity to their southern cousins, and whether or not they have as difficult a reproductive time as our southern ground hornbill do. Because our southern ground hornbill are, I want to say they're useless in terms of breeding. That's not very fair. It's not that they're useless. They're just very, very picky. They are birds that... They're like giant pandas in their terms of their breeding. They're just very, very complicated. They have very specific requirements. If the nest site is disturbed in any way, then they just don't breed for the next 10 years. Because that was where they wanted to nest. There they are. Oh, no. No, that is not them. I got excited. I saw big dark birds in the sunlight. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's play the silhouette game. Bateleur on the top, and I think Bateleur on the bottom. It's just busy grooming itself. I just saw big dark silhouette and thought, ooh, ground hornbill. But it is not. They are Bateleurs or short-tailed eagles. A big stretch first thing in the morning. I can't even, in this light, I can't even tell you if you're looking at a male or a female. I think the one on the bottom is a juvenile Bateleur. It looks a little bit puffy and a little bit brown to me. Oh, and it's got a friend. Well, that's an unusual bird friendship. I can't quite work out what's happening there. I can't, in this silhouette. Smallish bird with quite a smallish beak. One of the flycatchers, maybe. What a lovely little pair we've got happening here. Really, I thought drongo. Might be a drongo. Does look like that little tail. I don't know why. That's unusual to see a bird of prey with another bird not mobbing it, and obviously it's because Bateleurs are not. Oh, bye. Bateleurs are not a threat necessarily to other bird species. Rebecca said it looked a bit like Laurel and Hardy. That was amazing. Gives you a really nice perspective of size from our Bateleur species to our tiny little, and I think Vim's right, I think it was a fork-tailed drongo. That was very cool. Sorry, James, I got distracted talking about the breeding cycles of ground hornbill and the fact that they are complicated breeders. I imagine because they are so closely related, it's probably much the same thing with the northern ground hornbill, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain. It's not a bird I've ever seen. I would have loved to have seen it. I've never traveled up into those parts of Africa, so I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it's a completely different habitat in a completely different region, so maybe it is a little bit better than the southern ground hornbill, who, by the way, have completely escaped me. I think they've flown away because I can't hear them calling anymore. Good morning, Duncan Doo, who is on a roll this morning. He wants me to tell him right now whether or not toucans and hornbills use their bills for thermoregulation. Ooh, sorry, Duncan Doo. Hyena. Oh, false alarm, false alarm. I cannot be detained from answering Duncan Doo's question. I can if I keep coughing. Duncan Doo, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about whether or not our hornbills or toucans, we don't get toucans obviously, use their bills. Oh, I know who you are, Duncan. I know who Duncan is. Morning, Duncan. What are you doing up at this time? I think it's the Duncan I'm thinking of. Duncan, I'll ask you, do toucans use their bills as thermoregulation? Goodness gracious, Duncan, if you're the Duncan I'm thinking of, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed, man. I have a sneaking suspicion, unless this is the most peculiar of coincidences, and I somehow don't think it is. I have a sneaking suspicion that Duncan is a friend of mine that we went to university together, and Duncan has an interesting but understandable obsessions with toucans. And now he's flummoxed me because I don't know whether or not hornbills use their bills for thermoregulation. I don't think so. I suspect that they don't. And often on very, very hot days, hornbills are some of the first birds to show signs of really suffering, and sometimes they die. We lost a few of them last year to the high temperatures. Duncan Doo. I am most curious to hear whether or not this is the biggest coincidence in the world and we have two Duncans who are with a fascination with toucans. Somehow I don't think so. But speaking of birds, let us head across to Brent to see what he has found.
Well, he got a Woodland's Kingfisher. He's just dipped himself in Buffalo's Hook waterhole and is now giving himself a good clean. And look at that, there's stunning electric blue colours on him. Making sure all the feathers are in place. So wonderful to have the Woodland's Kingfishers back. It seems like they've never left. You get one day and then all of a sudden everywhere you look and listen, there's a Woodland's Kingfisher. So they don't really feed in water, they feed on insects. Well, there you go, but they do take swims from time to time. Now, oh, he's gone now. Where's that gone? There's a big terrapin. Oh no, is that a piece of mud? That's a piece of mud. Where did he go? There was a massive... Okay, Well, it disappeared. So we got no sign of any tracks of Karula and the cubs. I'm going to go back now and check towards Drakensberg Road and Bateleur. It is one of those quiet mornings. We are live. Could go from quiet to pandemonium. Dogs might arrive, and it's the joy of being live. You never know what's around the next corner. Remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV. If you want to ask us a question. I haven't heard any answers to do with that little birdie bird, the LBJ. So I'm wondering, did I actually manage to catch you guys out this morning? There you go, I heard this call. Hello, Hannah, who's 9 years old. Hannah, you are spot on. Hannah saw one this last weekend in the Pilansberg. Indeed, it was a spotted flycatcher. Now there we have the very pretty, with lots of named Starling, and I heard that little... There's the call. That's why I stopped. It's called a violet-backed, plum-coloured, or amethyst Starling. All names are accepted. Now, I'm going to try and get on the right side of the light so you can see the glorious purple colour that is on that Starling. Let's go. Try to think. Maybe we're going to have to... I hope he doesn't fly, but I'll try to go underneath him so we can see that glorious colour on his back. Oh, don't fly, don't fly, don't fly. Good plum-coloured Starling. Oh, no, he didn't fly. I thought he flew. Let's see, we should see some of this iridescence shining off him now. One stick in the way as always. But there we go, you can see that colour that where he gets his name from. You can hear the call. Now, the males are these brightly coloured ones. The females are brown and striped and not very pretty at all. But they are the reason the males are so pretty. The prettier, the shinier you are, the most likely you are to get the best girlfriend. Or is there a female around that you're trying to display for? I got an itchy ear. Now, as I said, they're one of our summer migrants. They've moved from further north in Africa back down here to take advantage of all the hohos. Now, hoho is a South Africanism, a little colloquial word for bugs. I'm just trying to have a quick look around to see if I can see one of the females. Oh, off he goes. And on the ground is a relative of his, and now that's one of our resident starling species, the Birchill starling. It's the biggest. No, you can. It's just gone behind the tree. It'll pop out now. There. On the ground. There he is. So slightly different colour, but you can still see almost all the starling species, apart from the wattled starling, have this incredible iridescence on their feathers, and it's a sign of health. So the healthier you are, the shinier you are, the more likely you are to get a good girlfriend. Okay, Well, 2 starling species. No leopards just yet. But we are going to continue on. I'm pretty sure Karula's still on Djuma somewhere. We just got to find out where. The mercury is definitely rising quite quickly this morning. It's already, well, not quite hot yet. There's still a little bit of cool in the air. Hello, Jay. Jay's wondering if we ever get to see murmurations of starlings. Our starlings never really get into those massive flocks like you get in the UK and or in Europe and the US. So we don't really see murmurations. The biggest flocks of starlings we generally see are wattled starlings, and then only 20 to sort of 50, maybe at the outside 100. But no, we don't see murmurations out here. Well, I suppose, it's a murmuration of starlings, but the bird that we do see that does behave quite similarly to that and in massive flocks, not so much in this area, but a bit further north, is the red-billed quelea, which is the most numerous bird in the whole world as an individual species. I can't remember offhand how many there's supposed to be. I think it might be upward of 10 million. I'll double check for you. Red-billed quelea. Very small little bird, pretty much an LBJ, apart from the fact that it's got a red bill. What have we got there? What track did I spot? Baboons. Baboons seem to have walked all over Djuma today. Just find that quelea. There we go. Not too many birds starting with the Q, so it makes life a bit easier. Red-billed quelea. Let me just double check here the numbers that they occur in. Okay, here we go. Population 1.5 billion individual red-billed queleas in Africa. It is the most numerous bird species in the world. 1.5 billion. Now, for those of you who are wondering what a red-billed quelea looks like, here we go. How's that, Chandra? That's it in breeding season. And there they are out of breeding season. I'm just going to drop. So there we go. Non-breeding. And breeding, they get that slight reddish tinge around their face. And now that's a non-breeding pair. Now maybe we might be lucky enough to see if they've got a photo of one of those massive flocks. They don't. They got an egg. Okay. So I've seen at least a couple of million, and they actually black out the sky in a place called Lake Ngami in Botswana. And when do they go there? Sort of at the beginning of the dry season, you get massive flocks there. Now, they can do incredible damage to crops. Can you imagine a flock of 10 million birds descending and eating in one foul swoop? Now, can you believe that they have tried lots of different ways in the past, and obviously it doesn't happen anymore, but they used to napalm bomb their roosting sites to try to control the population. But what happens with a lot of those sort of species like that occur in these massive numbers, the more persecution, the quicker they end up breeding. So it actually made no difference to the worldwide population of queleas. They're an incredibly important food source for lots of different animals, from reptiles to other avians, birds, but also to people, especially in the more dry areas of Africa, and they are caught en masse and cooked and eaten, and a very, very important food source, especially in the Sahel region in West Africa, certain parts of Zambia and Botswana. So a fascinating bird, tiny, about this big. I mean, this little thing. And we'll try quickly. There's a, do you see it, Jondo? There's a very pretty bird up ahead. I'm going to try and get you a visual of it. It's in this little thicket here. Oh. Got him? Oh, there he goes and landed in the tree. It's going right up to the top of the terminalia. Andre's going to try and get you a view now. There, oh, he's hiding in the shade. And there's a grey-headed bushshrike. Come on, turn around, show us your brilliant orange breast. Oh, he's gone up to the top. Let me just go forward slightly. Oh, there's two of them. There's a pair. The other one's there. Oh, jumped up. Okay, we'll try and get one last visual. And if not, let's go see what Steph's up to on foot.
Welcome back to the walk, and I must say we are approaching a drainage line here that's gradually getting busier and busier with things to look at. But what I picked up on the way and wanted to show you is this tiny little elephant dung. Isn't that just the cutest thing? Well, I mean, there's the picture it generates in my mind, not this is the cutest thing that you've ever seen. This is tiny. Let me look around and see if I can find an adult's one for you, just to give you an idea of the size difference. Here is the bolus from a female elephant, and from exactly the same aspect, there is the baby. And what's amazing, even at this size, not as apparent as this. This was an elephant, female elephant that had deposited this dung. Oh, there's just termites inside. Look at that. So all this termite, this bolus is being mined by termites. Have a look there. And basically from the outside, this just looked like a piece of elephant dung. And isn't that amazing that the termites have basically mined out all the wood that is available inside the middle of this particular termite mine, leaving just their sandy tunnels. Isn't that amazing? So obviously nothing here goes to waste. They've got a little bit left. Look there. Not much though, hey? Wow. Let me turn it a little bit so that you can see the outside looks unchanged. That's the outside. The inside, different story. Just been mined completely empty of woody or fibrous plant material by these termites. Gee whiz, that's interesting. And obviously there's no external sign here that there's a termite mound whatsoever. You can see where I'm standing, there's no termite mounds at all. Gee. So all these harvested termites. Oh, you know, every day you get surprised here by something else. But what the point I was trying to make is that even though this little elephant dung is so small, it's still starting to eat sticks. Have a look at that. And that's how I know that it's not a piece of warthog dung and that it's not a piece of zebra dung. That's how I know it was a baby elephant. Even though it's so small, you know it's an elephant because of the sticks that they're eating. If it was warthog, or it would just be grass. Warthog and zebra just eat grass. There'd be no branches inside this little piece of dung. Awesome. All right, let's go and have a look. This is one of my favorite areas to walk through because there's a drainage line, a river system that is just in front of us over here. It drains out of a seep line that we do our exercises on. We run along the edge of this seep line, myself and James and Connor and who else runs? Dave definitely runs. But first we're going to have some breakfast. This is the white berry bush. And although not 100% ripe just yet, there are one or two that we can pick for a snack. They go completely white when they are ripe. But even at this stage, you can eat them. They don't give you much in return for your picking effort. And at the moment they are a little bit sour. Mainly just give you a mouthful of seeds like this. And in that little fruit, there are that many seeds packed into this tiny little fruit. Claire, you asked me, are there many poisonous fruits or plants out here? There are some, Claire. You can't eat everything out here. Generally, a rule of thumb though when you're in the bush is if anything's got a milky latex, you want to avoid it. So if you break open a leaf or if you break open the fruit and it exudes a milky sap, a sticky milky sap, it's best that you don't put that in your mouth unless you know exactly what type of fruit that is. Another taste test is if you squash the fruit like this and then the juice that comes out, you just taste and rub on your lip. If it burns or tastes bitter in any way, then you know, don't have it. And then you can take one tiny little bite, taste it. If it tastes funny, if it doesn't taste sweet, if it tastes sweet, it's obviously okay, but if it tastes acidic or it doesn't taste too good, spit it out. If it passes the taste test, you can swallow it just one at a time and give it half an hour to 45 minutes. You'll definitely notice in that time if it starts to upset your tummy. And then you can start to eat small amounts. But, you know, that's how you do it if you were really starving out here. You know, the chances of you really starving out in the bush is so small that it's always best to just avoid plants that you don't know. So it's always a good idea to identify the plants that you have in your environment around you and which ones you can utilize at which time of the year and which ones you can't. It's not that difficult to do, and there are so many enthusiasts all over the world that just love sharing knowledge. It's one of the ways that we learn as much as what we do out here. It's just by sharing and sharing with like-minded people. And I'm sure where you are living, wherever you are in the world, that there'd be similar bush enthusiasts that you could spend some time with out there, and I highly recommend that you do it. It's one of the greatest resources we have here, absolutely. All right, now on that, and while we cross through this thick bush area over here, we're going to send you over to Jamie and see what she's up to.